within the game.
What's going on? All the smoke family is back for another Chiefs recap. I didn't get a chance to do one last week. I still, again, like I said, I do recaps whether I win or lose. Unfortunately, I was not able to do one. Had a lot of stuff going on that I had to handle. But the Chiefs pulled off a very, very close win against a very good 49ers team yesterday. It was a final score of 34-28, as you see on the bottom of the screen. We went on the 28-0 run in the second and third. The Niners fought back. It was definitely one of those games where they were going to fight back. The talent showed itself towards the end of that game, but the Chiefs made plays when it mattered the most. But so before I get deeper into this game, I'm going to show some of the highlights that the Chiefs accomplished in the close win yesterday. And then after that, I'll come back on, show the box score. And I got a couple of questions that's been given to me from some of the league members and a surprise commentator on this show with me. So let me hit these highlights real quick and we'll get back to it.
Off of play action, here's Lance. He'll fire this deep for Ayuk. That's into a crowd and intercepted.
It really fits, doesn't it? How about his ability to break tackles and his feet never stop moving?
Don't bottle the fumble. It's out, it's loose. And I think the Chiefs have it, they do. Always costly to cough up that football. These defenders will come back to win their second Lombardi trophy. Going deep here for Allen. And in for the Chiefs touchdown. A great play there. They still up to something here on third down. Here's Mahomes to throw. Here's Johnson with a reception. The offense, as they'll stop it with 14 seconds to go in this first half. Maybe just a slight detour on what's been a strong drive. Here's second and 11. Mahomes going to throw. Touchdown! Derrick Henry in the final seconds. To throw is Lance. Oh, he tries to force it in, and it's intercepted. William Jackson with a pick. The 40. The 20. And he will take this one home. It's a touchdown. Well, Charles, just some visibly frustrated players and coaches on this. Remember, they were just out here a moment ago and threw the pick six, so we'll see if they can take better care of the football this go around.
And sometimes, partner, I think it's
The ball's out, McCaffrey launched it, and it's picked up by the Chiefs. And his guys are going to get the football at the 23-yard line.
you remember how to pick the rough play as well? Because you're headed towards the ball carrier with the man.
They'll try the right side with Henry. And he's going to pull his way into the end zone for a Chiefs touchdown. 49er offense set to get this drive underway. We have seen a lot of points here in this quarter. For us up here in the booth, it's been fun to watch. The defensive coordinators are really scratching their heads.
Yeah, they're going a little bit crazy right now. But let's face it, all of our friends who play fantasy, they're enjoying the heck out of this show because most of them are greedy and getting a bunch of points.
Yeah, points certainly not at a premium here. So for Kansas City, they move back over 500 now at 4-3. And they'll be able to enjoy this one through the bye week before they get back at it.
As you saw, good game at the end. But I pulled a game off that I needed. Got to keep up with Tevin and that Chargers squad in LA in the division. We are headed into a bye week at 4-3 at the moment. So pretty good win for me. I have two tough games coming off the bye, though. I have both undefeated teams in the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars back to back. So I'm not sure they're going to still be undefeated by that time, but I'm sure one of them at least going to be undefeated, if not both. So, going to be a very, very interesting next 2 weeks after the bye week in week 8. But here goes a rundown of the stats for the game. The 49ers absolutely outgained us in the total yardage of offense. They had nearly 100 more yards than we did. They had 365 to our 286. Christian McCaffrey had a great day at the office for the 49ers. So they had a total of 177 yards rushing, and we had 100. About even in the passing, 188 to 186. First downs kind of even. We got 1 punt return. We had a way more kick return yardage. We ended up winning the turnover battle. I had a lot of goofy interceptions early in the game. We're trying to force it deep. That's one thing I'm still working on with this team, because when you play with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you get pass happy. You want to take a shot down the field because he have that 90 some odd throw power. So got to get out my own way with that. As you saw, San Francisco converted more third downs than we did. We were even in fourth down conversions. Neither one of us went for 2-point conversions. They had a better red zone percentage than we did. But just scroll down to the bottom before I hit that last stat. Okay, we end up winning a time of possession. So key victory at a much needed time for the Kansas City Chiefs going into the bye. Let's hit the player stats for both sides. It's going to start off with the passing. Let me hit this comment real quick while I'm looking. Cindy Hop, you are absolutely crazy. You're going to say that man for a 5th round pick. I know you lying. Back to the stats. Patrick Mahomes had a 109.3 passer rating, 186 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 goofy interceptions. Trey Lance had 212 and a touchdown with 2 picks. He had a 76-yard touchdown reception by Devin Gray early in the game. It's put them up 14-3. As I said, I had to go on a 28-0 run to even make this a game because the 49ers came out hot. Like Christian McCaffrey broke a touchdown the first play of the game. It was that kind of day for the Chiefs, but they overcame it and found a way to win. Then we go to the rushing stats. As you can see, Christian McCaffrey had a day, 15 for $159 and a touchdown. Derrick Henry had 23 for 96 and a touchdown in the game. Trey Lance had 3 for 21 and 2 touchdowns. He got involved in the game plan as well. I see a comment came in of a question that I cannot wait to hit when I get to the questionnaire portion of the stream. Let's go to receiving. Danny Gray had 2 for 93 and a touchdown. Devin Allen, 3 for 82 and a touchdown. So I'm going to skip past the guy that they showing on the screen, which is Drake London. That's going to be something we're going to talk about at some point. We're going to skip right past him. As you see, he is on the team now. We will get on that topic in a minute. Derrick Henry had 4 for 62 and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel had 2 for 41 for the 49ers. Looking like, Tyron Johnson had 2 for 39. Kittle had 1 catch for 27. Ayuk had 1 catch for 30. So kind of even day at the office in the passing attack. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. But I did see a big question that's going to be talked about soon coming up. As you see, Nazeeh Johnson, the rookie out of Maryland, had the most tackles on the day. He had 7 total tackles. So he led the team in tackles. Nick Bosa and, of course, Frank Clark both had 6 tackles combined. Let's go to the sack leaders of the game. We got Boogie Basham Jr. with a sack in both. And Davis, my corner, also got a sack in the game at a key time. So, those were 2 big stats in the game. Let's get ready to go to the interceptions. So, it wasn't a really big sack day. And shout out to the challenge, the offensive line challenge that Commissioner Mason and Bailey threw down. You couldn't give up a sack. And you would be able to get a +4 in your pass blocking. I definitely accomplished that. We did not give up a sack. So shout out to the Chiefs offensive line. Okay, let's see. Talona Hufanga, he had a pick. Traveris Ward had a pick. Odom had a pick. William Jackson had a pick 6. And Obi Melifonwu also got an interception in that game. So, again, pretty even day at the office for the Kansas City Chiefs. Really good game against the 49ers. It was a tough game for that young team, but they moved on to 4-3. And as we get ready to head back to the as we get ready to head back, let's go to a comment that was made recently. We have heard rumors about certain wide receivers heading to Kansas City. Can you elaborate on that? Okay, just to go ahead and answer the question, we will be acquiring. Give me a second. We got to get the special guest back in. Okay, but to go back to answer the question, excuse me for the interruption. We had a little technical difficulty with our guests. So we did acquire Drake London with a second round pick from Atlanta. Philadelphia and our organization have been in discussions about acquiring Quez Watkins. He will be on the team after the bye week. So Kansas City is upgrading at the wide receiver position. As you saw, we were working with Tyron Johnson, Devon Allen. We didn't have a lot of talent. Tavon Austin, who has been in the league for about 10 years now. So Kansas City had to upgrade the position at wide receiver, and that's exactly what we did. We do still plan on at least adding another piece, but that will probably come in the offseason. But for the time being, we did need some receiving help at the moment because we are in a very tough AFC and not going to take any team lightly. And Buddy Buckets checking in, the Jaguars owner and head coach, said that you arguably traded one of the best D tackles in the league. How has this trade affected your defense? To be honest with you, this trade, and I'm gonna give a little school lesson for people that are not in the league, that are just watching the stream for the fun of it. The Kansas City Chiefs is one thing about this league. Shout out to all the smoke commissioners, KD Bailey and Darrell Mason. The one thing that we do have that in our league is you have the luxury of, after the first season, once you make all the moves you need to make to get your team in position to succeed long term, you go ahead and you start making moves that you have to make on your roster. So in real life, Chris Jones is he's going to make $20 million a year for the next 2 years. He is getting older in Kansas City. So with Patrick Mahomes having the big contract that he has, you look at the situation and say, hey, you're not going to go forward with him at Michael Thomas back to the stream. And that's going to be our special guest. He'll be on soon. But to continue what we were talking about, Chris Jones and Travis Kelce had to be traded because the Chiefs organization don't really have a lot of money. Great organization, but don't have a lot of cap space to make a lot of moves. So we ended up moving Chris Jones to the Jaguars. And in the trade, we acquired a first-round pick next year. And Trayvon Walker, the first-round pick out of the Georgia Bulldogs, and also acquired, Foye Oluokun, who they signed last offseason. So added to the linebacker position in Kansas City and got you a defensive end of the future. So that helped out. That helped the team out overall. So we had to make that move. That was so big for the team. And honestly, it has paid off well. We've had a couple of moves that we've made we've been rebuilding this defense to try to keep a long-term but young unit that's going to compete in the division. And shout out to the Chargers GM and owner, Tevin Ratcliffe, said D-Hop, Quez, and London. I see you. Just trying to keep up with you, sir. Just trying to keep up with you. This is the opponent I played in week 2. He's going to be my tough out in the division. So it's gonna be a neck and neck race between me and him to win this AFC West first season. So gonna be one for the ages. But with that being said, let me bring in the guest commentator on the stream. I know he got some questions for me. Texans GM and owner Michael Thomas checking in. What's going on, brother?
How we doing, everybody? Glad to have the invite to come on and speak about the Chiefs and what's going on around the league and what his outlook is and some of the moves he's made. I'm honored to be on, so let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Run them off to me. I am ready.
Yes, sir. One question that I had myself: um, you made some moves to get younger, but there hasn't been much drop off as far as talent. Now you've lost some star players. Don't get me wrong, but the uh, your overall team as a whole hasn't lost much in the grand scheme of things. So what's going on in KC? Are you trying to set yourself up for a big time free agent, or you have some are you lining yourself up for a mega trade because you have the pieces to pull off a mega trade with some of the trades you've made already, or are you just setting yourself up for some cap space as far as free agency is concerned?
I would say a mix of both. I always leave the door open for a major trade because one thing that you will learn being in a league that you have guys that number one love speed, number two they may go into a situation where they want to compete all first season, and they end up falling into a space where hey, I got to get off this player if I'm going to be able to build my roster. So you always go in the approach of both of those because this Chiefs situation was a interesting one because this is not the Chiefs team that you come into Madden 23 with. You know, the Chiefs team that you come in with, you have Frank Clark and Miko Hartman and Juju Smith-Schuster and all those guys. But this is a roster that has been done post free agency. So the Chiefs really don't have a lot on this team. So I knew going in that I was going to have to make a move that I had to move some pieces to kind of fit my scheme. And I got to give credit to the team. They've still been putting up nearly 30 points a game despite the moves. So, I got to shout out the Tennessee GM. As you see, Derrick Henry is on the roster. We did a trade. I had to unfortunately move on from Kadarius Toney and Pacheco, who were big in the Super Bowl win for the Chiefs against the Eagles last year. But when you get a guy like a Derrick Henry in your backfield to make the big moves at the end of the game and grind those yardage out like he did in the 49ers game, those are the things that you brought him in for. Also, a guy like a DeAndre Hopkins, we did a straight up trade with the Arizona Cardinals organization to get DeAndre Hopkins. And DeAndre Hopkins, he's a good receiver. I don't know if he fits our long-term solution. So everybody that's watching the stream, he could be on the block. So just make sure you come correct with that trade. But we've also been making moves to stay in a competitive mindset to possibly still win the division and make a playoff run. As you see, there are still some pieces that we have to fix. But overall, like you said, these guys have worked out well so far.
Yes, yes. So when I look at the makeup of your team right now, I just I know for a Kansas City fan, they might be upset or confused as to why they no longer have their future Hall of Famer Travis Kelsey, Chris Jones. But when I look at the future, I see the current present version of the Chiefs. But when I look at the future, I'm like, wow, they the Chiefs probably had 2 or 3, 4 more years of a dynasty still set with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and those players. But with the moves you made, this might extend greater than 5 years. Is that something that you kind of had in the back of your mind? Like, hey, we can extend this dynasty even further by making these moves now.
I would say yes. I would say I didn't want the Chiefs to have such a fall off in the grand scheme of things because in all the smoke, we have some really good competition, including in division with the LA Chargers. The Chargers have been building. I have to give them their props. They've put a lot of talent over there in LA, and in order to keep up in this division, you're gonna have to try to take the you can't you're not gonna keep up with acquiring the superstar talent with most of these teams in the league. There's several teams in the league that have a lot of star talent, but with the Chiefs, you kind of want to go into the direction of put you some young pieces together. And if the opportunity comes to bring a big name in, like I want to just kind of give a rundown on my defense. I know I talked about it a little bit on the stream. I know a lot of people may look at the roster and be like, okay, what is he doing with this group? I run a 4-3 scheme, as you see, Trayvon Walker, a AR Justin Houston went up to an 88 overall. I brought in Emmanuel Ogba. Shout out to the Dolphins GM and his organization. We got a trade done before the season. Also, like I said again, shout out to the Jaguars organization. We got a trade done as well. So Boogie Basham, shout out to Tyreek Johnson, the Buffalo Bills organization. We did a 3rd round pick for him. And we've just been building our guys on the outside. So those two will be guys that I look forward to work with in the future. As you see, Troy Anderson, shout out to the Atlanta organization for allowing us to get that move. Aluakon came a part of the Deion Jones trade. We will be upgrading at this. This is no jab to the free safety, strong safety, and right side linebacker position. All those positions will be upgraded this offseason. We are not staying pat with those 3. Those guys are holdovers for the first season, but they're doing enough. I'm not going to disrespect those guys. I did re-sign Obi Melifonwu to a 2-year deal, so I'm not going to take away from them. But as you stated, I want to put a solid roster from start to finish on this team. So that's the goal. And let me hit some of these comments before you ask me another question. Buddy Bucket said, "Big play, Mike. What's up, brother?" He's going to be geared to come back to the stream shortly. His StreamYard been being disrespectful to him and kicking him in and out. Antoine Carroll, the Titans GM and owner, who we will be seeing after the bye, said word on the street is Trayvon Walker is headed to Memphis, Tennessee. He must be coming to an amusement park because he's definitely not coming to the Tennessee Titans. And Tevin Ratcliffe stated, Zeke said, "See y'all in the rematch. We will be waiting on him. We don't run from no smoke. That's why this league's called All the Smoke." Thank you very much, though, sir. But Mike, on to your next question, brother.
Yeah, kind of glitched out. StreamYard doesn't like me today, but I didn't know if you had commented on the comment from the Titans. Is Trayvon Walker headed to Memphis, Tennessee?
Maybe to go to a museum. As far as going to play for the Tennessee Titans, not in this league. Maybe in another.
Okay, that's fair.
And I also had to hit the Zeke says he on the rematch because my favorite opponent is in the stream right now. Shout out to I love you too, bro. But on to the next question for me, Goat Man Mike.
So now I know this may count. I don't want to get you in trouble with tampering, but maybe not a particular player that you have your eye on in free agency for next year because you don't want to like ruffle any feathers in the locker room with your own guys. But I know you mentioned strong safety, outside linebacker. Is there any position in particular that you have your eye on without giving a name of a particular player?
I will say that I definitely am up. My goal is to upgrade free safety and linebacker. Me and Old Melifon was going to depend. We've been considering building him as the strong safety of the future. However, I would not be against upgrading in free agency. I think the ultimate thing is we want to fill those positions out because we do have guys that we're building towards the future. Again, like Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson is, as you see on the game, he is 70 overall. You still do have to consider upgrading that position, even with his overall rating, because at the end of the day, the one tricky thing about about building young guys is there's only so much points that can be distributed. So again, I don't think there's any position that's like off limits. I do think I will roll with this unit up front. I think for sure the 6 at the bottom will guarantee, well, I'll say 7 of the 11 is guaranteed going to be those guys long term because building them is my key in this position. And then one of the other key things about them, they don't have a lot of money tied to them. So you can kind of compete with a cheap but efficient roster.
Okay. My next question is this is the rumor mill section of the show. I was recently listening to a podcast out of Detroit, and it was stated that you had engaged in talks with the Detroit Lions over Patrick Mahomes. Is there any validity to this rumor?
There was a conversation about Patrick Mahomes possibly going to Detroit, but the trade talks never happened. We did reach out to the Lions organization. We were ignored in our emails and phone conversations, so we assumed that organization no longer wanted to acquire in Patrick Mahomes. So it's nothing against us wanting to keep Patrick Mahomes, but I mean the offer was absolutely amazing that they offered, but nobody followed up with it. So we just had to keep it moving.
We cannot gloss over that. You you were engaged in talks over potentially one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time when he's done. This deal must have been astronomical for you to even consider that.
Yes, sir. The deal was at least 4 first-round picks, and in a league that a league that has the one of the most in-depth draft classes that you'll find is called the Nate draft. That a lot of people have given props to. You know, some people call it cheesy, some call it accurate. You know, you get a lot of names for a very stout class, but to the opportunity to save nearly $50 million probably next year while building even more talent on the roster, I couldn't take away from it. So I absolutely thought about it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair because to be a great GM, from what I've heard, you have to consider everything. You know, you don't necessarily have to pull the plug, but you have to consider everything. But moving on to the next question, you're sitting at 4-3 right now. You're a half game out of first place. Um, you own the top currently. You own the tiebreaker against the Chargers. What's your team's outlook going into this bye? Because I mean, you're right in the thick of things, but it has to be in the back of your mind that hey, the AFC is loaded. If we don't surpass the Chargers, it's possible that a 10 or 11 win team may miss out on the playoffs. So how do you what is your game plan going into the bye week?
That is a great question. And I wanted to show that. Let me go ahead and take that. Excuse me. I had to, this is before we had a Rams user. I do not want to mistaken anyone that's saying I'm trying to get a forced win. So let me take that off of there. But the get 3 games after the bye week and week 13 will set the tone for whether the Kansas City Chiefs make a run at the division title and a postseason appearance or not. Because the Tennessee Titans and the Jaguars currently sit at 6-0 each. They're 2 of the best teams in the league to this point. The Chargers have only 2 losses. They got a big game coming up with the Seattle Seahawks. But again, that's going to be, you just cannot count them out. You know they're going to be coming with trying to get revenge in the rematch. So that's going to be a big game for us. And then week 13 is a huge game with the Cincinnati Bengals, another team that's going to be key in the AFC playoff hunt. Still have another big, tough game. We have some good games still left on the schedule. We got some possibly favorable games after week 13, maybe a couple of forced wins later on in the season because of the teams being out of the playoff picture. But the next 3 weeks, if we can possibly get a winning record out of the next 3 games, this team is set up well to make a deep playoff run. But it's key. Got to win at least 2 of the 3. Can't walk away 1-2. 1-2 is not going to get it done. You gotta have to go. You want to get to 6 wins by week 11 or after week 11 per se, because the Titans and Jaguars will not be easy out. The Titans is definitely both. I have to give both users their props. The Titans are incredible for what they're doing with a team that no longer has Derrick Henry. That team is really, really going to be tough. the Jaguars, it's shark or die. So, you got to come with it. The defense is really going to be tested the next couple of weeks. So, going to be a growing pains for this group. But with that being said, I look forward to the race because, as you said, the AFC is so stacked. I have to give, when we go back to a round of smoke after week 8, we're going to get a chance to see the AFC North. Everybody has a winning record in the AFC North. 2 teams with a winning record in the AFC West and South. So, West and South. So, gonna be a fun one.
Well, I've had prior dealings with your work in the past, and you know they call you a madman, but it's worked out. And thus far, you're in the thick of the playoff race, heading into your bye week. It's a little early for a bye week, so how do you think that impacts your team having an early bye week as opposed to teams having bye weeks later in the season when they're probably banged up, but they still get that extra rest to go for the stretch run?
I kind of hate having an early bye because I kind of hate the fact that we got 8 early bye because unfortunately with an early bye, you straight up have to go ahead and get ready too early in the season because you don't really get a break. You go back into week after week after week. You kind of get a relaxer if you get it mid through the season. But I don't think this is the good stretch to get it for because right after the bye, I have 3 potential playoff opponents down the road. Got the Bengals. So it's teams that are out here that's going to be in the thick of the AFC playoff picture that I'm going to have to eventually run into. And the Madden scheduling gods really brought it to us. So they say, hey, you guys got to show up and show out. So it's going to be fun.
Well,
I want to hit this one question from because I'm going to show the questions. Head Commissioner Darrell Mason asked similar questions. Mike actually hit those questions. Just wanted to give them their props because they did ask these questions prior to the show. Just wanted to show that. But Bills owner and coach Tyreek Johnson hit an interesting question for me. He said, who's my favorite player on the team? I would personally say Patrick. I would say Patrick Mahomes because in previous leagues, I would say in previous leagues, I would say that my problem was not having an elite quarterback. I wanted to get a chance to work with somebody, I want to get a chance to work with an elite quarterback, and I enjoy it. Like, I really enjoy the opportunity to play with Patrick Mahomes, and I actually didn't want to go ahead and move on from him. I wanted to see how do I actually work with a elite quarterback. So that's the opportunity I'm getting with Patrick Mahomes. I think probably him and Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is my second favorite. Madden kind of nuked them on the opportunity to really be his dominant self like he's been, but a lot of it has to do with the Tennessee Titans in real life. So, I mean, he had to roll with, you know what I'm saying? You have to roll with the punches. But once again, that's my favorite guy on the team. And I'll go back to Goatman Mike and his questions.
Yes, we've had some great questions from the viewers, and that actually concludes the questions that I had for you. I'm excited to see what you do after the break, whether there's any changes with, as far as like play calling, playbooks, personnel. There's any more moves going on? I'm excited to see what you got going on. Coming back from the bye week.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it as well. This is just a quick rundown of the league that from last week. As you see, the scores is still advances tomorrow. There's still some big games that got to be played later on. And I appreciate MVP Mike Thomas coming in to give me that outlook on those questions because it was some valuable questions. But I think this is gonna be my Chiefs recap. As you got a chance to see, guys, I pulled off a close game. I'm gonna get a chance to chill out and have a bye week, thankfully. And Sunday, there's a major surprise coming to the league. You guys better be ready. Somebody's gonna be called out to be the smoke session, and your game's gonna be commentated on the platform. So be ready. If you are ready to be on the smoke, you might as well get ready because you have to step up to the plate when it's done. But until next time, this has been your Chiefs recap. We're going to go into the bye and enjoy ourselves. And everyone, you have a great rest of the day. And Mike, thank you so much for coming on with those questions. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the invite. I look forward to coming back again.
Yes, sir. Until next time, this has been the All the Smoke recap. You guys have a great rest of the night. And hey, play your games for the ones that's not been playing. Stop that ducking. It's dub.